Okay, thank you, Phil. So in this presentation, I will talk about GA4 secrets. I hope probably there is not so much secret. Try to change. Okay, I'm Matteo Zambon. Probably you already see the presentation about me. I'm a founder of Tag Manager Italia, lecturer at the University of Bergamo in Italy, and beta tester and alpha tester for some Google stuff. Okay, try to change. This is our team in Italy. We are already located close to Venice. We do course hunting and implementation, training, research on GA4, GTM, GDPR compliance, server side, etc. So this is how we work on it. And we have put together the biggest Italian community of digital analytics. Okay, here we are. So, as Philip mentioned, we won the Golden Pancake Prize at Super Week in Budapest last year. We was the first Italian to win, and last year I also win the Digital Analytics Association Quantis Award as a top analytics contribution. Today will be my pleasure to talk about GA4 implementation best practice. First rule probably is not the first thing, but my suggestion is GTM tag configuration must always be active before the GTM tag events, because the first rule is fly away. My screen is not ready, but no problem. First rule: GTM tag configuration must always be in a specific initialization. So the suggestion is use GA4 configuration in initialization all pages, and a specific event for the page view. So don't use the flag to auto push the page view event, but use the specific event for this. Why? What are the problems? The first problem is my screen don't work. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, the first
it's working. It's just there's a slight lag with when it's switching.
Okay, I try, but there are some problem with my, I don't know. The first problem about this is attribution channel, because if the configuration is not available before event, the session start could be a problem, and the session start is the way to assign the attribution for the session. So probably you have many unassigned attribution channel. The second point is if you use server-side configuration. So if you use the transport URL, probably if you have an event before the tag configuration, that event will be sent without GTM server side, and so that event is always by client side with the classic default endpoint for Google Analytics. So be careful about the configuration. Configuration is the first tag that you have to find. No bugs, list of known and unknown bug. I create a list of GA4 bugs since last year, last April, yep, because I see that there are a lot of problem in GA4, and often was already so from different people. So we are decide to create a list, and I decide to go public with all the things that are wrong in GA4. So I can help anyone who had a similar troubled relationship with GA4. So in detail, we create a collaborative Google Sheet called GA4 bug list. And we see that we are definitely not the only ones who have these problems. So the community have a good feedback about this. I suggest you to read the last article by Simo Ava just yesterday, and for other consideration of GA4 and the community of GA4 and what Google could be do for us and for the community. By the way, this is the link. You can check the bugs. I currently use this and I create some new rows when I see the other bugs. And if you have other bugs to for me, just email me. You can see in the top and a specific email, and let me know if you see other bugs. And thanks this Google Sheet and to the feedback from the other bug reports from the community, we had a chance to analyze and verify the state of the art of GA4 implementations all around the world. Once more, the members of the community help each other, and everybody can benefit of this joint effort. In this case, for example, Sarah from Spain has problems with the attribution of campaigns despite the correct handling of UTM's parameters. On GA3, they turn out to be correct, but on GA4, they are not. So this is the trouble. And I decided to run several tests to better understand the GA4 channel attribution mechanism. So I create some tests, and I noticed that the problem could be related to the session start event. So if this is missing, so if session start is missing in GA4, the GA4 assignment is not executed, and thus the channel is always unassigned. And so this is the reason. And after further analysis, I confirm my theory and ask Sarah to verify this my theory. And bingo, we are right. So the big problem is about the missing session start event. Probably could be a configuration text, or could be a simple bug for the GA4. So it could be a problem. Other best practice. For example, this is a Google Sheet that handles a custom definition. So my suggestion is to create a list of custom dimension and use it to improve your analytics, your configuration. The goal is to have a solid structure when defining dimension, and of course the metrics. So this is a way to do this. And to do this, we use Google Sheet and GA4 API, text to app script. we avoid doing monkey task. So it's stupid to create the same and to do this manually. So the best thing is use a API, a script to do this. I can share this link on the comment, but it's a simple video to see, just to put copy and paste your dimension description, and just to click a button, and automatically that dimension and metrics will create on the GA4 property. Now here is a quick overview of how GA4 custom parameters are implemented and used. The first is the horizontal configuration. So that is parameters that we always be present in any event to enrich information that GA4 does not have by default. For example, the consent mode, GTM container info, GTM timestamp or date now, page path, because I don't trust in GA4 in the same way I use the GTM referrer to understand if there are some problem with refer in dimension in GA4. And of course, you can implement the error handling. For example, for the JavaScript here through a structure such as a category, action, and then the label, we track errors that can be either JavaScript or interface errors. This is an example for JavaScript errors, but of course you can catch all error that you want. Other things is about dwell time. Is the time that the user arrived on our page, takes to click the back button on the browser and return to SERP. This is, of course, is in particularly relevant for SEO purpose. So this is an example. As you can see, I use always GTM timestamp and date now in all events, not just by configuration, because configuration is the same value for the all events. So you need to put again the same dimension, the same parameters here with the value, because the value is the same for the configuration. So the problem is not real, is the same date now for when the configuration was fired. Page load performance is again about a very useful to create your user monitoring report. So this is another example for implement. The other things is about web core vitals. So this is another things. This is the configuration, and geolocalization could be another interest things. This is another example for the horizontal parameters, and could be interesting bot identification. In Super Week, in this year of the Super Week 2023, here is a slide from the amazing David and Lucas panel. So this is the link, so you can grab the information how they create a bot identified for GA4. So this is interesting things to track. And you know that standard GA3 best practice was to use annotation, but so this is a great things probably many of you use these GA3 futures, but yeah, so you can, of course, annotation is very insightful for understand the right way that what happened in the particular day. But as you know, there is a little problem in GA4 because what's the problem? The problem is there is no annotation in GA4. So what should we do? Well, we can use two solutions. The first is use a Google Sheet with a simple Google Sheet with date and note. You can use it with Looker Studio and blend the information. So you can create a specific graphic, a specific report to understand the notation. Of course, if you don't have a Looker Studio, could be a little problem. The other solution that we used is a custom event in GA4. So with measurement protocol or event builder, you can create a specific event, a custom event to create an annotation and grab that information directly in GA4. So the difference for Google Sheet is all data is directly in GA4 storage, in GA4 database. So there is no problem to understand if exists a Google Sheet annotation or something like that. So this is another way to grab the annotation information. And probably if you use GA4 and BigQuery, you probably know that the gclid attribution is wrong. So the problem is about source, medium, and campaign. In GA4 is okay. It's not really 100% accurate, but in GA4 there is campaign and there is Google CPC attribution, but there is a little problem in BigQuery because the campaign is organic, the medium is organic, but we have gclid information. So this is always bug present in BigQuery schema. So the problem is always present, and the source fortunately is Google. If you see, we can check the GA session ID. So this is an example for session ID, and so this is the problem. The problem is medium is organic, is not CPC, and the campaign, I don't know what is the name of the campaign. Of course, this is about the session. So campaign and medium and source is about the session scope. But of course in GA4 the report is correct. So if I filter by the GA session ID, because my best practice when I create Google Analytics property, the first thing is create immediately GA session ID parameters for custom dimensions, so I can filter on reports and by API for session ID. Okay, so these are really nice tips to understand the GA session. So if I filter by GA session ID in GA4 reports, I know the campaign name. So if I use API, the result is the same. So if I filter by GA session ID, I can grab the information about the session campaign, and of course, Google CPC is the source and the medium. So in this way, you can use GA4 API to export the campaign, the value missing in BigQuery. So in the this is an example. I use AppScript, but you can use Google Cloud Function directly in BigQuery if you want. I can grab the information by Google by GA session ID, and we can fix the all history data for BigQuery. So I can use two ways to do this. The first is if you don't have GA session ID and other custom dimension, you can use gclid parameter. Gclid parameter is not present in is not available in page path and query string dimension, but is present in page location. Of course, you cannot filter by GA session ID because it's not available by default. If you don't, if you didn't create before, you cannot filter by GA session ID. But if you try to use API to grab the information with the page location and set your campaign, the problem is you cannot use this dimension in the same request. So there is a little problem. There's another little problem. You cannot use gclid directly in GA4. So so the page location is not unfortunately the right way to do this. Page location is available in exploration, so you can create an exploration report. You can filter by gclid and you can grab information, but you cannot do this by API. So the problem is this. So the only thing that I can suggest you, if you don't use custom dimension, is use a referral page refer. So in this way you can filter by referral page and use that information to understand what is the campaign name. So it works, of course, in exploration too, but in this way you can use when the user just has a unique page view. So the problem is this. And by API, of course, it works. The easy way, the smart way, is if you have create a custom dimension like GA session ID and GTM gclid or something like that directly in GA4, you can just, of course, the GTM clid, you have to create a specific variable configuration, and if you use this custom dimension, is easier to filter. In my case, I use gclid value, so I can grab the information. And now you can blend with Looker Studio whatever you want, BigQuery with a Google Sheet, or you can do this directly in Google Platform and with a Google Cloud Function, and export all data in BigQuery table and join the BigQuery tables. This is some Looker Studio examples. So the first is just the directly GA4 data source. So of course the data is right. If I check the information, the data directly in BigQuery, I have the problem with organic attribution, but I have the gclid. If I blend together the Google Sheet by API and I have the same result for the GA4 data source, and this is the blend. So I blend BigQuery and Google Sheet in this case, and I have no problem. So this is a smart way to grab the historical information missed in BigQuery. And if you if you come in Italy, if you plan to come to Italy on June 30 and July 1st in Bologna, there will be the first edition of GA4 Summit. Of course, is Italian edition, so is about Italian, but there will be speakers such as Steen Rasmussen, Alejandro Zielinski, and Denis Golubowski. I hope is right the surname, but yeah, this is about our first international event in Bologna. If you want more about GA4 tips and tricks, please follow me on LinkedIn. Before told about a book, my GTM book, but is really old, so please don't buy that GTM book. And that's all. If you have some question, I'm open to understand your question. Okay, I can.
Thanks that, Matteo. Yeah, there are some questions in chat, so I can read those out. So the first one is, so in the GA4 config tag, we need to disable
page view event. Absolutely, yes. This is my big suggestion, because with the consent mode or with some implementation, if you have an init event, your custom init event before the GTM snippet, and you have to create a specific event to grab that information, the best way is divide the page view and the configuration. Configuration is the first thing that will be applied in GA4, because is the configuration. So is set up the GA4 configuration, and then page view. If you use single page application, another tips is use page view, but in my mind is a best practice to divide page view from to Google Analytics configuration.
Yeah, I wish that they would make the config tag similar to GA3, as in move it into a variable, as that would solve some of these kind of race conditions of issues.
Yeah.
What one related question I was going to ask about that. So we tried setting up a GA4 config tag without the page view enabled, as in unticked the option, and then loaded a page underscore event as like a virtual page view as a tag sequence. But we found that GTM almost got stuck.
It's not, it's not the best way.
Yeah.
There are some troubles, so nope. I don't suggest the tag sequence.
So it almost ends up with two different dependencies, both a tag sequence dependency and then a GA4 config tag to event dependency. So the only way we could actually get around it in terms of allowing a tag to be created as a version was to actually send a data layer push after the config tag was executed, and then invoke the page view. But it seems a bit of a clunky solution. There's a question here about from Ricardo. What about a BigQuery routine for fixing that? I'm not sure what he means by that. Very nice and quick, but not for retrieving campaign name.
Very nice and quick, but not for retrieving campaign name. The campaign name you grab by API, so you just put in parallel table with the same information.
Maybe he means, sorry to jump in, that you can't look up a gclid to get the campaign source, medium, etc., as in it's like a closed system. So although like BigQuery is on Google Stack, there's not a mechanism apart from in GA4 or GA3 to actually almost like a VLOOKUP or expand out that key. I think maybe that's what he's kind of suggesting. But UTM parameters would be one around that.
The first thing is don't use auto tagging. I suggest don't use auto tagging gclid, use UTM, and the other suggestion that I can say is create another parameters in the URL. Okay, use UTM, but put another your custom parameter to understand if the attribution is okay, because we can see that is not 100% accurate. So don't trust in the attribution, in default attribution of GA4. So this is my my tips. Okay. Yeah, I see the other question. Okay, the question is about cardinality. Of course, cardinality is present when you use that dimension. So if you use that dimension just to filtering, you don't have that problem. So it depends what is your goal. In my case, I use gclid and GA session ID just to filtering to understand if there are some trouble, some bugs. So it's just for that. And of course, in BigQuery there is no cardinality. So if you use this and check by BigQuery, there is no problem. But probably is about okay, I can use API to understand, give me all gclid session and with a unique query to put out the campaign. In that case, it's just to create a different query, just not with one, but with more API query.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I suppose there may be ways of using a key of the keyword, the ad ID, and match type as a possible way of looking that up instead. I've seen some call tracking systems use an equivalent method. There's another question here. Mentions your upcoming conference in Italy. Will the speakers be presenting in English or Italian?
We have a translator, but is just for the afternoon for the first day and the morning for the second day. So it's not for all events, but just when the afternoon and morning session, when the international speaker, because they will speak in English, and they will speak better than my English, because my English is not so good. But there is a translator, but not for all event, just for a part of the event. So afternoon for the first day and morning for the second day.
Cool.
Yeah, because it's in Italy, is an Italian event.
Great. And checking our time. Okay. Oops, okay.
Yeah, there is I just check some on the chat. The problem for the 20 characters for the page location. I know, Phil, you create a variable to try to grab some to cut some part of the URL, because the problem is there is no more URL parameters in BigQuery and in GA4 if the length of the URL is more than 100 carats. So yeah, is a big problem that yeah.
The I think actually it might have been your a variable that we kind of forked and changed it so that we used the page location running in whitelist mode to just approve about 10 parameters that are necessary, and like obviously gclid, wbraid, all the UTM parameters, etc. And that's the safest way of doing it. I kind of wish Google would introduce exclude parameters in GA4. That would make everyone's lives a little bit easier.
And my suggestion is use another custom dimension for the page path. I know that you have a page location in BigQuery, but trust me, use page path, because if you use the page path, you don't have this problem or other problems. So the thing is, we need a custom dimension backup to understand if the problem is about a bug of BigQuery GA4 or is something else in tracking. So my great suggestion is you use custom dimension for backup.
Yeah, we were trying to do a next page path in GA4, which is obviously native in GA3, and ended up having to create a referral path custom variable, which we stored as an event level custom dimension, in order to kind of get that previous path to then get the next path. There's some weird kind of workarounds that are sort of necessary to get kind of feature parity, which is a little bit crazy, but. I'm just going to take presenter control for a moment, Matteo, and I'm just also going to mention, hopefully you can see my screen, I don't know if you're around for the next sort of 10 or 15 minutes or so, Matteo. We've got a kind of a networking booth thing, which is called Como. So if you head over to the room that's got your picture on it, and then attendees can ask you questions and get more detail. If we haven't been able to answer your questions kind of in this sort of space, we'll email those questions and the chat messages through to you, so you can also follow up with attendees on Como. It's if you double click on someone's picture or profile, it then means you'll follow them, but Razor will also make you as the floor kind of presented so that people can see that. So thank you so much for doing your talk, Matteo, and good luck for your the sunset party actually on the 31st of July. Everyone's kind of wondering what's going to happen when the deadline hits.